This one is entitled, What's Involved with Getting Involved in KAM? And this is an encore presentation from our conference, which was awesome. And I hope the rest of you had as much fun as I did. I learned a lot of things, met some new folks and whatnot. And so we're excited to have you join us here if you missed this presentation, or even if you were in it, you can add a little bit more to that. So let me start just with a quick overview. If I can find my browser, this is where I need more windows. Okay, so since we've got a few folks that are new to KAM, I want to just kind of flip the script before we start talking to our panelists and do a quick rundown of all the committees so that you'll kind of have some context on what we're talking about when we mention a specific committee. So this is available. Let me put this in the chat. There's the chat if you want to follow along at home. And what this is the list of all 8 committees with a very short explanation of what each one does. But then you can click on this SOP version 4.0, and that will give you all the gory details of what each committee does. And there's a calendar in there month by month to kind of help us keep on track, not only the committees, but the board as well. So our 8 committees, awards and nominations, which solicits nominations for the executive board and for the annual awards. And they handle the board election and selecting those winners, the winners for the awards. Communications manages the KAM website, our Gmail account, and the KAM presence on LinkedIn, and then also publishes our quarterly newsletter, Meets and Bounds. Designations maintains our 3 designation programs, the KM, the PKM, and the KGISD. They administer the tests, they keep track of everyone's points, and then they also recognize the designation holders every year at conference. Education, this committee coordinates educational classes and workshops, so probably one of the most important committees in terms of filling what KAM members are looking for, which is affordable education to help them out on their job. So definitely, not that the other committees, I'm sorry, not that the other committees aren't important. I should not extemporize, sorry. All committees are important. History, that keeps track of all the historical records. And again, if you're at conference, you probably saw that table full of beautiful scrapbooks. We are indebted to them for keeping track of all that. Legislative researches and informs the membership on state and local issues. So we're trying to keep track of anything that's going on that might affect the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. Membership is all about recruiting new members and making new members feel welcome, reaching out to groups and organizations to let them know that we're here for them and would love their participation. And then last but certainly not least, the program committee, which plans our annual conference. Definitely the most active committee of the 8 because you have so many logistics to do, and while we do have a professional who supports that committee, there's a lot that needs to be done to make sure that conference goes off without a hitch. So those are our 8 committees. And again, you can hit the link in the chat for those. So I'm going to stop presenting for now. And I'm going to just turn it to my esteemed panelists. I'll just call you guys out one at a time, and you guys can introduce yourselves. So we'll do the same thing we did in the conference, which is if you just give your name, who you are affiliated with, if anyone, and how many years you've been in KAM. So let's start with Erika.
Hi everyone, I'm Erika. I have been a member of KAM since 2012, and I work for Wood Environment Infrastructure as a GIS analyst. And I have been on the program committee several years, and then I was nominated to be a director on the board. And then from there, I was elected as president and just finished at being past president. So that's my background.
Thank you, Erika. Lee Allen. Can you guys hear him? Let's see here. I don't hear him. It says he's not muted. Ah, for once, Lee is rendered mute. Tell you what, let's jump ahead to Cara and we'll let him troubleshoot. Cara Mays.
Hi, I'm Cara Mays. I am the GIS coordinator for Coffee County. I joined KAM in 2010, and I've served on the membership committee, and I was recently program chair, and I'm also a past president.
Thank you, Cara. How about Pam Cannon? Oh, Pam, you're muted.
I just wanted to double check.
There you go.
Pam Cannon. I work with Lynn County. I'm on the east side of Kansas, next to Missouri. I've been with KAM since 1998. I've been a past president. I've been on the designation committee for several years.
Thank you, Pam. And last but not least, Lisa Olson.
I'm Lisa. I joined KAM in 2006, and I worked for Seward County.
Perfect. Lee, you want to give it another try? Lee's just here for the lunch part. He's not here for the learning part. All right, now this is everyone's opportunity to take pot shots at Lee, and he can't respond. All right, let's kick things off. So the number one piece, actually I should back up. Hopefully everybody got a survey a couple of months ago from the board about membership satisfaction. If you're a new member, obviously you wouldn't have gotten that, but we asked you a bunch of questions about your participation levels and what you valued most out of KAM and what would make your membership more valuable. And of the questions that we asked about why people weren't serving on committees and running for board positions and whatnot, a lot of people said first that they really weren't even aware that KAM had committees. So that was a big surprise. So we're trying to remedy that with talks like these and getting the word out a little bit better. But secondly, a lot of people said they didn't sign up because they don't have enough time. They just don't feel like that they can commit the time to any of the committees because they're so busy at work. So I want to pose that question to my group of panelists. What's the time commitment like in your perspective?
I'll go. I would say that the time commitments are pretty minimal, depending on which committee that you're on. I think probably one of the more time-consuming committees is the program committee, and I have served on that several years, and even that is pretty minimal. And we're talking, you know, a few hours a month at the most. And like I said at the session during the conference, I just hope that you make time for the things you care about. And I don't like to hear people say, oh, I don't have time for that, because we're all busy, but you make time for things you care about. And honestly, if you're so busy at work that you don't think that you could serve, you could get on a committee that is a little less active throughout the year. So that's my recommendation.
How about Pam? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I could agree with that. The designation committee would require very little time. If you don't have a designation already, then you would be limited on what you could do. So you wouldn't have to do very much. You'd probably get a couple of emails throughout the year to help decide what to do for recognizing the designees. This is what we gave out this year, was a keychain with the KAM or KGISD. And other than that, I mean, you would have to have one of the designations to be able to proctor one of the exams or change the exams, but you could still offer, you know, your opinion on what type of question should be on it for today's environment, because it was based on reappraisal from '86. So it could use some new questions on there.
Cara or Lisa, any thoughts on time commitments from your perspective?
Awards doesn't take any time at all. We're kind of from about May till August, and I would guess maybe an hour at the most every month from everybody, but I don't even think it's that much. So awards nominations is really minimal effort.
Yeah, I'd agree. Serving on several committees, I would say program is probably the one that takes the most time, but still with that, a couple hours a month, a lot of emails back and forth, but time consuming, it wasn't bad at all.
Great, thank you. Lee, do you want to add anything in the chat? Yes. As he composes his thoughts, I also would sort of add in that time commitment is what you want to put into it. There are some months when things are kind of slow, or things have been slow for me at work, where I put in a lot of things, done a lot of things and sent a lot of emails and whatnot, and then other months where KAM was just on the back burner because I had stuff pressing at work. Lee agrees with that. I would say as much or as little as you like. If there's something you're interested in, then run with it. And that's certainly something I would, as president, love to see, is folks that have an idea and some enthusiasm or passion for that. And it doesn't have to be a big, like, we're going to have 2 conferences this year. You know, it doesn't have to be that huge undertaking. It could be something simple that would make things, that would help other people. So that covers our time. Then the next reason that people gave for not signing up for committee is that they don't have the skills. They don't have the expertise. They're maybe relatively new to the profession and they just don't feel like they have anything to contribute. So let's see. I'll pick on Cara. Cara, what would you say to someone who says, I don't have the expertise or the skills to be on a committee?
Like I said in the live at conference, I joined the program committee. I had been working in my job for about 3 months. So I had little experience about job. I had little experience about the conference, anything. And I probably was hesitant and didn't really speak up or give my ideas. But I think if you're willing to commit to something and share ideas, you do not have to have any expertise at all.
Lee mentions in the chat. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think that the more you get involved, the more you will learn and you'll develop different connections with people, and that can help you with some of your professional needs.
Pam, that's a great point. The nice thing about committees is that they're smaller. So if you tend to be more introverted in nature, as many of us IT folks tend to be, like they stick us in the back corner in the basement because we're technology geeks and whatnot. Committees are a great way to get to know a smaller group of people and to share your ideas, half-baked or fully baked or whatever, without being in front of the crowd of 100 people at conference. So if you're looking to meet more people, make those connections and find people that you can even talk to get new ideas. Committee is a great way to go. Lee mentioned something as simple as just offering up new ideas and feedback can be very useful as part of a committee. That's absolutely true. We're always looking for new perspectives, new ideas. Our roots are in county government and parcel mapping, but that doesn't mean that we don't have room for flood mappers or utility mappers or any of the other many different disciplines that are out there. So you bring expertise whether you know it or not. Lisa, Erika, anything to add to that?
I think at our session at KAM, Erika hit it on the head. If you care about it, I think you'll just slide into a position on a committee or even the board and add a lot more than you might realize.
I think it's important to just keep new people coming through KAM in the committees, because we can get kind of stagnant into where we have the same people doing the same things every year. And it's great to have that history and the experience, but to have new blood coming through, new ideas, newer perspectives, I think is really important. And so you really don't need any skills except for just, you know, networking, I guess. But again, like Amy said, there are also introverts, and so you might pick a committee that is a little, you know, a little more behind the scenes, and that's fine. Or you might want to be on the program committee, but you don't necessarily want to get up in front of people at the conference, but you can help, you know, with web page stuff or you know, other things that are not as forward as the extroverts. So there's room for everybody.
All right, well, going along with those, the discussions on why people didn't sign up, we've already talked about time commitment is minimal to what you want to make out of it. No expertise required, just a desire to get involved. What about travel? Does being on a committee mean that you have to drive to Topeka every month for a meeting?
For the designation committee, so far we've done everything on just through email. We haven't had to have any travel at all. I had a little bit of travel for proctoring an exam, which it wasn't very far away, so that was no big deal. Typically people take their exams at the conference, so then that wouldn't require any travel either. So as far as our committee, there's none really. When I was on the board several years ago, we had all of our meetings in person, and that's good sometimes to get out of the office and go, but now I think everything's pretty well done with Zoom meetings and everything, so there's not very much trouble.
Anybody else done a lot of traveling for committees? Cara says no. Lisa says, everybody says no, no, no. So don't worry, you don't have to drive to Lawrence, Topeka, Manhattan, our usual haunts. If you are in Dodge City, you are welcome. We will get you in. We will have you involved.
The past few years, the board has kind of transitioned more to being remote. And some years before COVID, it was like every other month we would get in person, because it is sometimes nice to get together. And there are if you're on the board, there's one meeting that's at the conference site before, like in May before the conference. But again, it's we sort of look forward to those times we can get out of the office. And then if you can't make it, I think in today's environment, we definitely could do hybrid meetings if we did decide to meet in person.
I remember Lee saying at the conference how sorry, I just saw Cara's note and derailed my thought there for a second. Cara will be right back, everyone. That most employers actually are very excited to see you participate in giving back to your community and networking and things like that. And so in most cases, as long as you can keep up with your own job responsibilities, a meeting where you have to travel is usually welcomed. And as Erika said, it's kind of nice to get out of the office and see some folks you don't get to see very often. And you're right, Erika, we did travel more before COVID and picked out some kind of obscure places in Kansas to check out. So hopefully we can get back to that a little bit. But again, if we decided to meet in Dodge City and not everyone could make it, I'm sure that we could work out a way for you to phone in. So let me share my screen again. And here is our list of committees. And again, you can see this you can play along at home. Let me put this in the chat. So this is our committee sign up as of the end of conference. And you can see we've got chairs. So that's the first good thing, is that if you're thinking about joining, but you're afraid that I'm going to strong arm you into being a chair, I'm not going to, because I've already strong armed somebody else. So Lisa Olson joining us today is chairing awards and nominations again this year, and we appreciate that very much. Scout Stanley was on communications last year and has taken over his chair and is already just rocking out the website updates. So thrilled to have her on board. Pam Cannon, again, back with the designations committee, which I believe she's done for several years, and we're much appreciative of that. I've stepped up to chair the education committee, but I'm happy to seed or co-chair if there's somebody else that is excited about that. Judy Polensky, who I think is on, yeah, she's on the call today. She's on our history committee and was the one running around taking everybody's picture at conference. So you probably at least saw her if you don't. If you didn't meet her with names. New to our group, Cody Irwin, who is also on this call, is going to chair our legislative committee this year. Christian Kennedy, who I believe is not on the call today, she was the one that was bugging you to vote in the map gallery. She's going to chair our membership committee this year. And then finally, Pam Dunham, who is now our past president, is going to chair the program committee, and God bless her for doing that. And I understand that Cara is going to hang out and share her wisdom from this past successful year as well. So Lee mentioned in the chat, you know, are any of the committees full? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm pleased with what we already have, but I would encourage you to read through those descriptions in the first link that I shared and ask questions and pick one that speaks to you, or you can be on more than one committee, but I'm not going to overextend you or you know, push too hard on that. But we want you to get involved where you feel like you can make a difference and that you're interested in doing that. Do any of the committee chairs on today want to make a plea for their own committee and in any way?
I'm not a committee chair, but on program, I will say we've kind of in the past designated, so you don't, I mean, you kind of have one task. I think we had like 8 or 9 last year on the program, which was really great. I felt like that kind of covered where people weren't overwhelmed with tasks, but everybody could put their 2 cents in. So it would be great to have a couple more on that committee as well.
I wonder if on the website we should add a couple of blanks to each column, because it does kind of imply like we've got everyone we need. All slots are filled.
I will make that change after this meeting. That's an excellent suggestion. Well, I will make a quick plea for education. If you join the education committee, that does not mean you have to teach a class. I'm sure that would be very intimidating for a lot of folks who don't get a kick out of it like I do. This is much more about generating ideas that will meet the needs of our members, reaching out to potential people to instruct. When we've done things in the past where we were in person, we've asked vendors to sponsor lunch if it's an all-day class. So there's lots of little logistical things, whether we do it as a webinar or like an online workshop, or if we do it in person. The lift can be very simple or very, very complicated. So, ooh, and Erika is already signing up for education. What a good leader she is. Judy, I know you're on the phone. Would you like to say anything about history committee? I'm sure she's looking for her mute button. Or she's cowering and please don't make me talk. Or she fell asleep. That's probably it. That's probably it. Let's see. Christian is not on. Pam is not on. Cody, anything you want to throw in? I know you're brand new to this, so I'm sure you would like to have, and it looks like you've got a few folks helping you out so far. Hold on, looks like you're muted.
Okay, there we go. sorry, I'm eating my lunch. I didn't realize I was on mute. I'm very excited to chair the legislative committee. I also am very thankful for Ed Crane we've kind of been chatting back and forth, and so he's going to help me out a little bit. But yes, so I for sure would like a lot more people on the committee, because I definitely need to, I guess you could say, have more people giving ideas and then things like that too. Because I mean, I know that it's not just things that are just passed, in the, I guess, legislatively. There's much more that we could probably take that to. But I have been brainstorming, and I've also been talking with my friends who work in the local government at Esri, and to try and figure out different things that we can bring to light or share. But yeah, I'm excited, and I think it's gonna be really cool. So.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Hey, there she is. Hi, Judy.
I just had to find the other unmute button. I'm going to do something different this year. I'm really excited to have somebody that's been in a long time, a brand new person, and somebody that's only been in for a few years. And I'm going to do the scrapbooks, and all they have to do is take pictures and write down the information. So they were all excited about that, because nobody seems to want to do a scrapbook but me. I even bought a new computer to do it. So I think we're gonna have fun on my committee, and I'll take anybody that wants to join, take pictures. And we're taking them with our phones. You don't have to have a camera or anything. So, and that's it.
Hey, Judy, real quick. Sorry, this is a little off topic, but are you going to do anything with the pictures before next year's conference from this year's conference? Like,
yeah.
we put them online, like a slideshow?
Yeah, I'm working on some to send it to Scout. I just got kind of busy here at work, and I need to send her some more. I have a zip to send her. I just haven't got around to doing it. So I have funny pictures and some like the awards, stuff like that. And then some that I probably should delete. But those are the fun ones.
Incriminating.
Just, I just take pictures of everything.
Thursday
kind of
night.
fun.
It's a wild time.
Yep. Yeah, and I will make a scrapbook of this year for next year. And I still have, I was handed boxes of pictures. And so I'm still working on the old ones, but I intend to finish them before I die. Anyway.
Well, that's a long ways off, so.
Yeah, I have a while. That's it.
So I'll mention at this point, and in the meantime, if you have questions and you want to unmute or put them in the chat, I'll give you a chance here in a minute. But if you're interested in signing up, you can always just pop your info in the chat. I am writing those down. But if you're still kind of mulling things over, here on our website, we have a sign-up sheet. Ta-da! And it's a little slow to load, but you just put in your name and your email and then check the box for whatever committee you want to be on. I took the requirement to answer the committee chairs off, since we already have committee chairs for this year. You're welcome to answer it if that's something that you're interested in. But let me throw this in the chat window and open it up to everybody. Either you can unmute, or if you want to put your question in the comments, I will read that out loud. What questions do people have about KAM committees?
Hey, Amy, this is April, and I was going to say, I don't know if you guys ever think about this, like with your committee meetings, but I don't know if you've ever thought about kind of just open them up to other people also who, might want to help brainstorm for certain stuff, but don't want to necessarily be on the committee, like, like maybe they're already on another 1 or 2 committees and they just don't want to be on a 3rd or 4th, but might have ideas just for other committees and stuff like that, just to kind of cross-pollinate.
Sure. Yeah. We're hoping we could get a little bit better established with a web portal now that things are so online. We would like to make that available to the committees, and then certainly we could send some emails out that says, hey, program committee's meeting, if you want to listen in, but you don't want to be a member. You want to be a lurker. Lurkers are welcome. That's a great idea, April. Thank you. Dan says in the chat, I wasn't able to make it to conference this year, but I'd love to help on a committee. I did fill out the form, and I'm glad to contribute. Fantastic. Welcome aboard, Dan. Other questions? Just jotting down some notes here. Chat says, Cody says he thought it was a smiley face. He didn't mean to laugh at you, Dan. That's okay. We all laugh at each other. That's half the fun of being in KAM. Since we have some time, and again, keep those questions coming in the chat. Let's talk a little bit about the board, because we would definitely like to have some more folks kind of gear up and run for board. And I think everybody on the panel, if you haven't served as president, you've at least been on the board. So let's talk about time commitment for the board. Anybody want to pipe up on that?
Again, I think, what, do we meet every other month? Is that what the board is doing now?
We're trying to do monthly, but we do cancel
Monthly?
when there's nothing on the agenda.
Okay. And they run usually an hour, hour and a half, maybe at the most, so. And you plan on doing all of that Zoom still? I know we talked about it at conference, Amy, about getting something a little bit better with the amount of emails that we exchanged on program, getting something that's more of a hub instead of 14,000 emails going back and forth. So
for sure. One option we've thought about on that is if you've tried Slack or Discord. It's like a chat type application so that you could have sort of those conversations, especially on those days leading up when you're, hey, did you remember to do this? Yeah, I remember to do that. No, I forgot to do this. And there's a lot of back and forth. There has been some discussion on that. And certainly we can set up discussion forums on the KAM website as well. So, but in terms of this year in board meetings, I would like to have, you know, at least a couple in person, but that really depends on the folks that are on the board this year and if they're able to travel or not. So we're just going to kind of play it by ear this year, and then it'll be up to Joanna next year to decide in person or not. All right, April's got some suggestions on what committees she'd like to be on, and then Dan and Cody are conspiring. That's great. That makes me happy. Okay, so time commitments on the board. What other questions would you have? Is there anybody out there that's kind of thinking maybe they might like to be a director or something, but I don't know. Do you have any hesitations to doing that? I agree, lead director is a great place to start. Unless you're dumb enough to fall for Erika's siren song and sign up for secretary right away and then realize you're taking notes and you have no idea what you're doing. No, I would say secretary was a great introduction. I definitely had a lot of questions the whole way through. Should I be writing this down? What do I need to add this? And everybody who was already on the board was very kind and not a dumb question, Amy, not a dumb question. Then I'm sure they're all like, but that's okay. I'm used to that.
Amy, you were a go-getter. You came right in and started seeing ways we could improve and update our website and everything. So you kind of put the rest of us to shame.
To be fair, I didn't do that my first year. My first year, I kind of laid low and just listened and wrote everything down. And then after that first year, then yeah, I unleashed the terror.
Director is a great place to start. There's not a lot really that you're doing except for being kind of a advisor to the group and helping make decisions. But if you're good, then you'll definitely be being groomed for other leadership. So, but you know, it looks good on a resume, and most employers, you know, that sounds great. Like, you know, to have one of your employees be on the board of directors. So I definitely recommend it. It's definitely a great networking opportunity to just get to know other people and get to know all about the inner workings of KAM and how we do the things we do. I know there's many conferences that you just go to and you're just an attendee, you show up and you go home and it's nice, but you don't necessarily help organize or, you know, run the organization. And so it's kind of nice to get to see the inner workings. And it's also a great opportunity to put your own flavor on the kinds of offerings KAM is, you know, as far as sessions, as far as trainings and the things that KAM has to offer. I mean, if you would like to see something that we're not currently doing, then get in there and say, you know, there's this whole other sector doing GIS work that we're not engaging. Why don't we do a training on this or have this speaker come in? So it's a great way to help form and shape our organization.
Also in the chat, if you didn't see that, Lee mentions points for your GISP. So if you are a GISP or you're applying to do that, you get tons of points for serving on committees and being board members. So definitely keep that in mind if that's something that you want to pursue. I think we're going to try and have lunch and learn here in the next year about the GISP and what's involved and why you might want to get it, pros and cons, things like that. That's certainly on my list of things to approach. So always a good reason. I would mention too, so in terms of length of service, committees turn over every year at conference. So it's a 1-year commitment. If you get into the presidential wave, that's a 3-year commitment because you're president-elect and then you're president and then you're past president. So that's a 3-year commitment. Secretary and treasurer go up for election every year, so that's a 1-year commitment. And then directors we have on alternating 2-year shifts. So you will serve as a director for 2 years and we elect 2 directors every year. So let's see here, Tyler was just reelected and Lee Allen was just elected, and then Christian Kennedy and Cecily Osborne are on their 2nd terms right now. And I can see that we are delinquent in getting Cecily's picture, but I know she's busy right now. So I think, what else am I not thinking about? You can always look back at the meeting minutes and treasurer's reports as well to kind of get an idea of what things are discussed at the monthly board meetings. All right. Any last questions, comments, thoughts? One-woman plays, song and dance routines. All right. I see somebody typing. We'll give them just a second to add that to the chat. But I hope that this session has been informative, and I hope that you're encouraged and you'd like to join us in some way, shape, or form. Again, you drive what that looks like. Don't forget, under governance on our website, committee sign-up sheet is right here. So fill that out. And again, I would encourage you, let me put my email in the chat. If you have any other questions, think of something later that, I wished I'd asked that, or I can't make my decision without knowing this piece, then please reach out to me or reach out to anybody that's been a part of this conversation. We want you to be involved, and I think it's going to be a great year. I'm pretty excited. So, line dancing sessions. You know, April, you're joking about that, but stay tuned. You know, Manhattan's less than a year away, and yeah, we might see that. Although I have to say, our line dancing game was pretty strong on Thursday night. That was pretty impressive.
Late Thursday afternoon session of line dancing.
The electric slide, 101.
And Lee can come and show us how to do the hammer.
Elise says, count me out. I don't know. That might be one of those other duties as assigned. All right, folks, I'm going to stop the recording. You are